Mr. President, I rise to discuss important veterans and VA issues, something we're all properly focused on like a laser beam right now. And I will be joined over the next several minutes by Senators Rubio and Inhofe and Heller, who share all of my concerns. Mr. President, I've been coming to the floor pretty relentlessly because apparently that's what's necessary to talk about one specific priority with regard to veterans in Louisiana, and that's moving. There's no good reason we can't move on outpatient clinics, expanded outpatient clinics that are overdue in 27 locations and in 18 states, including 2 new expanded outpatient clinics in Louisiana, specifically in Lafayette and Lake Charles. Now, Mr. President, these have been planned for, on the books, paid for several years now. They're not being built, they're not being moved into purely because of an administrative glitch at the VA that delayed that whole process by a year, and then in that intervening year, a so-called new scoring issue that came up here on Capitol Hill at the CBO. We've blown through all of that. We've solved those problems finally, a lot of delay, but we've solved those problems. And now there's absolutely no reason we can't take up a bill that has been passed by the House, put a simple amendment on the bill and pass it through the Senate and get on with building these new and necessary expanded VA clinics. 27 locations around the country, 18 states, obviously including the state of Louisiana, 2 locations there, as I mentioned, in Lafayette and Lake Charles. And I again take the floor in the context of this much broader VA scandal to urge us to come together and act in this simple but important way. I've been coming to the floor to urge this action for months now, well before this current VA scandal erupted. But I think that new context of this national VA scandal makes bipartisan action on this and anything else we can agree on more necessary than ever. So I again urge all of my colleagues to come together to get this simple but important thing done and to continue to work on all of the other very necessary changes we need at the VA. Now, in terms of these 27 outpatient clinics, Mr. President, there is no disagreement about this. A bill has been passed through the House with 1 dissenting vote to get this done. It sits in the well of the Senate. There is no objection to the merits of that bill as long as we add 1 perfecting amendment that has been worked out with every member of the U.S. Senate. There is no substantive objection to that. However, it has been held up and objected to by Senator Sanders, the head of the Veterans Committee, purely because he wants to use it as leverage to pass his much broader veterans bill on a host of other topics. As I've said many times before, Mr. President, those other topics are very important. Those broader topics have only been underscored in the last few weeks with this developing VA scandal. We need to address many areas, but we shouldn't hold veterans hostage, and we shouldn't hold up progress in any area that we can agree on simply to create a hostage to try to forge movement in these other areas. And in fact, in terms of that general proposition, I think Senator Sanders agreed with me. Back in 2013, November 19th of 2013, Senator Sanders adopted and endorsed this approach with regard to other matters. There was another set of work on other veterans issues, and issues were worked out so that a specific proposal could move forward by unanimous consent. And Senator Sanders came to the floor and basically said, yes, let's agree on what we can agree on. Let's move forward with what we can move forward on. Quote, I'm happy to tell you that I think That was a concern of his, talking about another senator and this other veterans issue. We got that UC'd last night, so we moved that pretty quickly. And I want to try to do those things where we have agreement. Let's move it, close quote. So, Mr. President, I'm just urging us, particularly in the context of the overall VA scandal and VA mess, let's start acting. And where we have agreement, let's move it. We're not going to solve every veterans problem in one bill overnight, but we can start a bite at a time, a step at a time. We can start to do positive things. And these 27 clinics in 18 states are very positive, concrete things. So where we have agreement, and we have complete agreement in this area, let's move it, quote unquote, a direct quote from Senator Sanders from late last year. I'm sorry to say Senator Sanders is not allowing us to move it. We have absolute agreement on the substance of these clinics. We can call that bill off the calendar right now. We can put the perfecting amendment on. There is absolutely universal agreement on the substance of that bill with that amendment. But we're not moving it, apparently, because he wants to use that as some sort of leverage for other VA proposals. Well, I want to work on those proposals, but where we have agreement, let's move it. Veterans want us to come together in a bipartisan way, want us to act, not in a month or a year, not after more and more studies, but want us to start to act now where we can, where we have agreement. And I think it's very important that we act. And I think it's very important that we do so in a bipartisan way. This is one focused area where that is possible immediately today. And so I urge us all to do that. Now, Mr. President, there are other areas we need to act on. Senator Sanders is in discussions with many of us, being led on the Republican side by Senators Burr and McCain. I hope that broader agreement comes together. I hope it comes together very, very soon. I've been assured by both sides, Senator Sanders on the Democratic side, Senators Burr and McCain on the Republican side, that certainly this clinic issue will be included in any such agreement. But let's come together now, here and now, where we have agreement, and we do, on these clinics. Let's act for veterans as soon as we can, and we can right now with regard to these clinics. And so I urge us to adopt that positive, common sense approach. Act where we have agreement immediately. Build consensus. Continue to work on those areas where there is continuing discussion, and act and build agreement and build consensus as quickly as we can in those other areas. And I urge us to do that as soon as we can, wherever we can, whenever we can, and that can start today, if Senator Sanders would let us, with regard to these 27 expanded outpatient clinics in 18 states. I see Senator Heller has joined us on the floor, and I will defer to him and also look forward to the comments of Senators Rubio and Inhofe about the broader veterans and VA challenge, as well as this specific clinics issue. Thank you, Mr. President.